this point. I was with Brother Ron because yesterday was really hard. And this morning I woke up and the first thing I had was from Brother Ron of encouragement. And that meant a lot because since Pastor Kelly asked me to do this, it's been really rough. I was on a real big high about it, and then little by little, that started creeping in like,
yep.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And I got really frustrated because, well, it's my first time. I want to be proper and, do it the right way. And bring out my little Bible and I'd sit at the table with my little pen and my highlighter. And I'd be trying to go through stuff and I'm like trying to research about restoration and what it means. And just nothing kept coming to me. And I thought, well, come on, God, you got to give me something. And he kept saying, look at yourself.
Yes.
I've given everything you need.
Amen.
And it came back to me, we've been talking about ugly church a lot lately. And as God kept telling me, like, someone needs something different. We can't, I don't want you, I don't need you, I haven't called you to be a professional speaker. And I thought, I don't have the right words, and I may not look like somebody else. And it's all that come back to me is, I don't need anybody else. I don't need you to be like me.
That's right. Amen.
That's right.
And I was just getting really frustrated, and I almost said, I give up because it's just not coming to me. And I was just really trying and praying. And I even talked to somebody at work, and she's one of the few women at work that I talk to that go to church and have a relationship with God. And I was telling her I'm getting really irritated. And so she said, maybe Michelle, there's somebody that is going to need to hear the raw truth of who you are in your past, and to see who you are now.
Amen.
They need to get that. They don't need somebody with perfect words.
That's right.
Amen.
Or having it all together, with their perfect little, notebook and stuff. And I thought, well, okay, then guess that's me, because that's where I am tonight. I prayed on, today, and I was going, somewhere, and I said, God, the words that come tonight, they have to be from you.
Amen.
I don't have them, and I just kept hearing the same thing. Like, there's things I've shared before, and I kept thinking, well, maybe if I just talk about this, I can kind of still creep away from this. And he just kept saying, not today, not tonight. You've got, I believe, even though I moved in something different, me doing this and following exactly what he tells me, this season's over.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
something greater has
Amen.
happened.
Amen. Amen.
Come on.
And so, I've been praying a lot, and it just come back to me, like, I need to release some things also, and because I can't really tell people to be restored, and I'm still holding some things back because it's not pretty. It's not something I want to talk about. And so, and I kept thinking of the biggest thing that kept coming to me, as he kept telling me is forgiveness. And not so much as forgiving, not that he didn't forgive me, but more of like forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how that has hindered me for so long.
Amen.
Because even though it's 100 times, he could tell me, you went through these things, but that's not who you are. When I would get up and I would, start to pray, or I'd start singing, or I would, say I want to say something, the devil always reminded me, but come on.
Yep.
Look where you've been.
Yep.
Sure.
People aren't going to see you, they're not going to take you serious because you've done this and you've done that. And, God just kept telling me over and over, something new is going to come out of this.
Amen.
Amen.
And for me, forgiveness is the biggest thing I've had to do to release some people in my life that have taken something from me, and for me to reach the new level I'm going, I had to say, I released them of that.
Yeah.
There you go.
And,
Yes.
when, without, being graphic, whatever, when I was 7, this was really hard.
That's right.
From the age of 7 to 13, someone decided to literally strip me of my innocence. I had, and that spiraled into a whole entire half of my life. Looking at myself like, how disgusting it was. The shame that I felt. I had family members that had embarrassed them. Kind of counted me out, because how do you come back from something like that? From someone that's supposed to love you and take care of you. And you know, for a long time I blamed God, like, why would you let that happen? Why would you let me go through that? Like, what was the purpose? You know, and that just, it spiraled on to a life of just a complete chaos. I you know, ran away a lot from home. It just, you know, there was no consequence for his actions. It all got left on me. I was the one left to hold it, to suffer it, while he moved on with his life like nothing. And I got real angry. And I thought, well, God, why would you do that? Like, you know, I've raised in church my whole life. And I just thought, God, if you love me so much, like, why would you allow that to happen? And his life went on, and mine stopped. And I started just hating myself. I hated who I looked at. I didn't like me. I couldn't stand aside myself, let alone, how could someone else ever look at me and know what had been done? Like, it's damaged. Like, how do you get back from that? And so I started, you know, I would latch on to any boy, and it doesn't make sense now that when that happens to you, that's where you think love is with anybody that will pay attention to you. And I went on and just, I mean, a horrible, just did horrible things, and met the kids' dad, and he was the first person I ever opened up to about it. And when my own family had abandoned me because they were embarrassed, and they didn't want that to shame them, because we were from a small town and everybody knew, and, you know, I was the girl that happened to, and, you know, maybe because I waited so long to tell, why didn't I tell before? And it was shame for me, not for him, but I held shame for myself, because maybe I could have done more as a child, you know, that's what people put in me. Well, did you fight more? Why didn't you tell? You know, and until you're there, you don't understand that control them.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, I started getting into drugs really bad. And I thought, well, it's my scapegoat. You know, I'll just be the partier, kind of blend in with the crowd. Maybe people will lose focus on that, and we can talk about this now. But, you know, I'm partying with everybody, so everybody just kind of leave me alone, and I don't have to think about that anymore. And, you know, and one night, I had told some friends, and I had told the kids' dad, and we were about 15, and we had planned on calling him over, and we were gonna set him up, and they were going to do, you know, they were gonna hurt him, and I felt, and he was on his way to come to meet me, and I just thought, you know, I can't do this, even though what he did, me doing something to his life, I'm no better than him.
Come on, amen.
And then I thought more of like, what a coward, you know, and then I just kept thinking, God did not allow whatever was gonna happen that night to happen.
Come on, amen.
Because I don't know what I'd be today. I don't know what would have happened that night. And I just kept, in this total cycle of just self-destruction, because it was easier to do that than to deal with what was going on around me. And even though I knew God and I was still going to church, off and on, I'd get there and I'd see these people that had horrible stories, and I thought, God, I want to be like that. I want to get my story out, because maybe somebody here needs to hear what I've been through. Maybe they need it, and maybe I could save somebody else. But that fear starts kicking in, and I thought, no, it's not you. You went through it because God just didn't love you enough. And I just kept thinking, well, I'll just live life the way it is, and whatever happens, happens, and I just didn't care. I ended up in a mental institution for a while, and even then, didn't want to talk about it. I just blew it off. It's just life. You're a teenage kid. We all got problems, and I kept coming back to, like, God, why do you keep letting this happen? What am I doing wrong? Like, where are you? And just didn't hear nothing. And just got really bad on meth, really bad. And that almost took me out a couple times. When I overdosed really bad. And when I went to the ER, I remember the doctor looking in my face. I was about 17, and he said, "You're just never going to amount to nothing. This is who you are. This is the life you chose. And this is who you're always going to be." And I think sometimes now, I wish I knew that doctor, because I'd really like to show him who I really am today. Because I'm not that person.
Amen. Amen.
It took me a long time to get through that.
Amen.
But I got married. It wasn't a good marriage. It was very abusive, physically and mentally. Had the girls, and I had just had Courtney at this time, and we thought, we might, if we're doing drugs, we might as well sell them and make some money off of it. And so we started getting into some really deep stuff, and my life just seemed like it just spiraled out of control. My grandparents would come over, and they would cry, they'd weep. Because I knew better. And even on all of my chaos, and all of my darkness and my sin, I knew who God was.
Amen.
And sometimes they could convince me to go to church, and the feeling I would have when I was there, I would just, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I'd leave those doors, and everything that I dumped off, I'd be like, no, I have to take that with me.
Yeah.
It's got to come back with me.
Yeah.
And I had shared this before, but when Courtney was really little, but before that, before I decided to get my life together, and her dad had got into it, and we ended up having to go live in a shelter and share a room with about 38 other women in a big, just room with bunk beds. And I kept thinking, like, God, what am I doing? How did I go from being raised in church my whole entire life? I know who you are. I know what you can do. What am I not doing right?
Come on.
Where am I lacking that I just can't seem to get it together? As much as I pray, and as much as I want to, and as much as I know that you're there, why can't I pull myself together? And I go back, and I thought, well, and religion had always taught me, as a kid, if your life wasn't in complete chaos, you weren't doing it right. You had to be broken.
Come on.
Because God needed, you had to be a broken person to come to God all the time, and you had to have baggage all the time, because that's what we're there for. We're to come to God with all of our problems. And I kept thinking, well, things are getting a little bit better, and so does that mean that I'm not where I'm supposed to be, so I went back. And things just progressively got worse from there. And, got back into the drugs and the alcohol, and, somebody had turned us in. And I remember hearing a bang at the door and waking up, and a whole entire SWAT team and DEA agents were standing over me and Courtney. We were laying in bed together. She was maybe a year or two old. And the DEA agent and my ex-husband's officer was there, and he took me in another room, and he said, "I see something in you. I know you're not like this.
Come on.
But you gotta get, something's gotta give."
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, I had a certain amount of time to put myself together. And that's where it kind of started. And I thought, and I always knew, even though the bad things were happening, I always knew He was still there.
Amen.
Because I could have been taken then too.
Come on.
Could have spent my life in jail. I could have lost her. I could not have had my other kids, because wouldn't have been in that place anymore. And, it was just a complete, it was just always, it seemed like my life was always in chaos. And so I decided, I gotta get myself together. And, I had every intent, it's like I always had the plan, I always had the best intentions of, if I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna start going to church, and I'm gonna get myself together, but yet I just, but I always kept myself halfway here in the world, and
Yeah.
halfway here, because I thought, well, this is
Yeah.
what I know,
Come on.
this is what's always comforted me when things were, not so good, and I felt like God left me a lot more than the people in the world have left me. And it just got to the point where I just let God go for years, and I thought I was living my best life, partying, and I had kids, and just the things I exposed them to, but I was priding myself on a good mom, because if I don't go to church, they still go to church, and I thought, well, you're a great mom, you don't have to go with them, as long as you're seeing them, you're doing okay. And that's not the case. There was always something missing from me, and we moved out here, and things got a little better. They weren't as bad. Still wasn't complete. There was still something missing. I still kept thinking to myself, is that 7-year-old little girl? And when I would try to move forward, that always came back to me.
Come on.
Come on.
And one night I was listening to, I think it was John Gray, and this was literally probably a year ago. And, but anyways, before that, I've been with Kelly and Cindy for a long time, and they've seen me in and out, in and out, in and out. And, just could never figure out, God, where's my place? Where's my place? And, and you would tell me, there's things you gotta do, and I just kept thinking, but I can't let go of those things, because who am I gonna be then? Because I don't know anybody, I don't know anything else, I don't know who I am, because as many times as I've even walked up here and said, God, take it,
Come on.
before I left the doors, I was running back up here, and I'm like, no, I gotta pack it with me, because if I don't have this, then I don't know who I am anymore.
Come on.
If I totally release this, who am I?
Come on.
I don't know, because I've always been the broken one, or, the one with the issues, or the one with, the bad marriages, and the bad, relationships, and I've always been the one that, I've just always had that title on me. And I was watching John Gray one night, and he was talking about, the same thing about restoration, and how you get there, and the things that we do to prevent it. And one of the things he said was that someone had done something to him as a child, and called a similar story to mine. And he said the hardest thing for him to do was really tell God, I release this person,
Come
I let it go.
Amen.
Amen.
Come on.
And I laid there in bed, and I thought, I'm not doing that. It's not fair, I shouldn't have to. And God kept saying, just do it. just do it. You can't move, you can't keep going, you can't keep doing this because it's not who you are. And if you keep carrying this hate and this anger, you can't move forward, and I can't, there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm here, like, you just gotta make that step, and I just refused. I'm not doing it, I'm not letting go of that. That's not fair to me. Why am I the one that always has to be the bigger person and release him from what he did to me, what he did, and, I was angry again. I thought, if this is how it has to be, then maybe I'll just sit in these chairs. I love God with all my heart, but I'll just be a spectator, because to forgive was a big chunk for me to let go of. And recently one night I was at home, and I just kept saying, God, what do I gotta do? I see these pastors that come in here, and I'm just like, God, they're so anointed, and their stories are horrible, and they're saying it with boldness, and it's like it never even happened to them, and they're almost proud of where they came from because of who they are today. Why can't I be like that? And he kept saying, but you can, like, you just gotta move, you just gotta keep going forward.
Amen.
Yes.
And when I got on my knees and I said, God, if this is what I gotta do, if this is what it's gonna take for me to humble myself, because I felt like my life was just literally hanging in the balance. Either you're gonna do it this time, or you're not. You can't keep going back and forth like you've done this too many times, and you're literally playing with your life.
Yeah.
And I got on my knees and I said, God, I don't have the words. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to pray to you. I said, God, I've got to let go. I've got to let go of this. I got to quit looking at me the way that I'm not that little girl.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
I'm not.
Amen.
Like, I'm not that girl that the doctor said, this is who you are. I'm not that person.
Amen.
And I thought, and I just kept thinking about it, and and I just thought, there's so many times that I've sat with somebody and I thought, I just need to tell them. And I thought, no, that's embarrassing. What if they would tell everybody else? Or what if they people start talking about me? Or, oh, that's the girl that this happened to, and she's been through this and she's done that. And I just had to kind of get to the point to where if it helps somebody, that's all I've had to do.
Yes.
And that's what God expects me to do.
Amen.
He didn't take me through all of that, and now that I think about it, and I look back at it, and I always think, there were so many times that I did dangerous things, got in the cars with strangers, and going to the next high. And I kept thinking, there's no way that God was not with me,
Amen.
Come on.
even though I was making all those bad choices. He brought me out of it, and it's for a reason.
Amen.
And and I just kept thinking, you just gotta let it go. And when this revival happened, Pastor Kelly had said yesterday or Sunday, about my faith, and saying, God, whatever it takes. And the day we dumped out the buckets, I did it the first time. I kind of just went with it. I was just like, here you go. I don't even honestly think I even said anything the first time I went up there. I just poured it out because that's what everybody was supposed to do, and that's what we're, just to look pretty. Poured my little bucket out, went back up there, and felt nothing. I'm like, well, that was fun, And when he said, no, we're gonna do it again, I thought, and I just, what? In my head, I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's almost like I knew, I'm not ready to do that. Even though there's something going on in me, and I felt it during revival, and there were so many times I stood up on that stage, and I'm like, just say it, and I still fought myself, And I would go home and I'd be frustrated, because I'm like, you were supposed to say that. Somebody there needed to hear you say that. And I thought, but it's not for me. It's not my time. And, you know, and God could tell me, when is it gonna be time? It's been your time for a long time, and you're the one that has stepped back.
Yeah.
You're the one that has said, no, I'm not ready. I've
Right.
been waiting there for you.
Yep.
And when Kelly told me to walk through that door, I did it, but I'm thinking, well, I don't really know what's gonna happen when I walk through this door. You know, is there gonna be something magical that's gonna happen? And, you know, and it's still in my head, you know, I still have that doubt. You know, this is who I am, this is where I'm gonna stay, this is just me. And, you know, as much as I wanna tell people, and I want people to understand that I've been through some horrible, horrible things. But until I got ready to say I'm done with it,
Yeah.
that's not who I am. God just, he's always been there, but he wasn't gonna force it.
Yep. That's right.
And until I got to the point where I'm like, you know, I'm done. I don't wanna be this person anymore. Nothing started changing for me. And I walked out that door, and I walked down the driveway, and I kept thinking, God, okay, what's supposed to happen? Like, something really big's supposed to happen, and nothing's happening. And, you know, we prayed all the way out there, and we were walking back, and I'm just kind of thinking, okay, God, you know, we're almost back in. Like, I'm supposed to feel like this jolt or something. I'm supposed to feel something, and nothing was coming. And I just thought, well, maybe it's just, maybe not yet. Maybe, you know, and I'm like, well, I'm still going to come to church. I'm still going to do what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, but got in the doors, nothing. And I thought, okay. I don't think I hit that back row.
No.
And I just dropped.
Come on.
And I tried to get up. And I was like, nope. And I kept feeling myself pressing up. Nope. I'm not done with you yet. You're gonna sit here, and you're just gonna spend time with me.
Amen.
Come on now.
And when I walked through there, nothing has been the same.
Amen.
Praise God.
Because I got to the point where I sat up here and I said, you know what, God, if nobody understands and nobody's willing to come with me, whatever has to go, whoever I can't take with me, I'm okay with that now.
Amen.
Yeah.
Because I gotta keep moving forward.
Yes.
And if nobody stands behind me, I would rather stand alone with you
Amen.
because my life depends on it.
Yes.
And, you know, and I just, you know, and I kept getting frustrated, you know, like I said, about God, what is restoration? And like Pastor was said, I am restoration.
You are.
Because from where I've been to who I am now, I've counted myself out 1,000 times more. And it was really nice for it was really nice to hear my grandmother, the last one I had alive, to tell me, you know, I know you've been through some junk. And things may have been rough, and they may have been hard. And even though you might not have understood, and even to this day, I don't understand why some things happened the way they did. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not meant to understand everything. She said, you know, since you were a little girl, God's gonna have for you.
Yep.
And you gotta hold on to that with pride.
Amen.
That he thought enough of you, that he said no matter what she goes through, I know she's gonna come home.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Amen.
And, you know, to always feel like you've been counted out with your family as the one that's never going to make it. And then I look at some of the same people that counted me out, and their lives are such a mess. And I'm not bragging because you know, I was there. But God had different plans for me.
Amen.
Amen.
And for this to happen
Amen.
is something I never even seen for myself. And when I just kept thinking about things, and when April Hogan was here, she walked up to me and she said, you know, you've literally walked through hell and back. You've walked there and you've came home, but not a smell of smoke.
Amen. Amen.
And that's all I kept thinking was, even though my life's been dirty, my life's been not so pretty at times. And I've been through hell, and I've survived it, and I've walked. And I kept thinking of when, you know, land burns, of how ugly it is, and how,
Come on now.
you know, you drive by and you're like, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen, and how horrible it was, and
Yeah.
what must have been there before. And I just kept thinking, you know, God just kept showing me that's you, because out of all of that ash, all of that dirtiness
Come on.
and the burnt,
Come on.
when something grows from underneath that, it's better than whatever was there
Yeah.
before.
Amen.
It is, amen.
And for me, I just kept, you know, I just kept thinking like, I'm gonna hold on to this, and I know there's gonna be things that come against me, because for me, just this right here, even though I didn't have what I wanted in my pretty little notebook, in my Bible scripture, and I thought I may not even talk very long, I don't know how it's gonna go. This for me, this changed something.
Yeah.
Come on. Amen.
Amen.
It does. Amen.
I feel like, and you know, and there was a point where I thought, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna be sick. I'm literally going to be sick if I do this. And, you know, God just kept telling me, this is the end of this season.
Yes.
This has to be done. You have to release some of the
Amen.
stuff, because I can't move you to the second one if you don't go with me.
Amen.
Yes.
And so, I'm just thankful that I'm finally being obedient.
Yes.
Amen.
And even though, I mean, I like some of it, a lot of it's rough, and I'm sick to my stomach right now with nerves. I know that, I know I'm doing what God wants me to do,
Amen.
Yes.
and there's nothing more that I can, I want to do in life anymore. This is who I am. People may not look at me and think she's worthy of being called, but I don't care anymore.
That's right.
Because
Amen.
I know what I have.
Yes.
I know where God has me.
Yes.
I know where I was.
Amen.
And I know that this is something I never thought myself doing. And so for all those naysayers, oh well, they're just gonna have to get over it. I mean, this is me now, and I mean, maybe at one point God would let me have my little scriptures and my little Bible verses, but you know, it just had to be honest. It had to be real, and it had to come from the heart.
Amen.
Because Him being able to restore me, I had to let go of some things as well, and I let go of a lot of tonight that I didn't want to. And this was part of what I argued about with God. And I found out you don't argue because you're not going to win. That He's going to make you even say more things that you had no plan on saying, and I don't even know where they came from. And I'm like, okay, God, that's enough. Like, let's shut this down now. You know, save some for next time, maybe. But, I think, you know, that restoration for me is this it? This is it.
Yeah.
Taking all of the dirty and the ugly, and you know, like I said, looking at the new growth
Amen.
from what had burned before.
Amen.
And